The Tigers take care of West Virginia, and LSU is Omaha bound. It's Locked On LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked On LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We are free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, here on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. LSU, for the 20th time in program history, off to the College World Series. LSU dispatching West Virginia 12-5 in a game that had a smidge of drama in the middle, but by and large, this was a coronation. 1 run in the first, a 5 spot in the second, which we'll get to. West Virginia did put up 4 runs in the middle to make it 6-4, but then the Tigers explode for a 6 spot in the 7th. And after that, it was all over, but the shouting, it was just a formality from that point. And the Tiger bullpen took care of business with Cooper Williams and Chase Shores behind Anthony Eyanson. Cooper Williams, Chase Shores were sensational in this game on a day where Eyanson struggled. He was still very good, but by his standard that he set, wasn't great. Maybe that's something that's super encouraging for LSU as you do head off to Omaha, as you realize, man, you won 2 games in lopsided fashion in a super regional round where Anderson and Eyanson weren't their best. And when you can win, when Anderson and Eyanson aren't their best, you can beat anybody in the country. I know West Virginia wasn't exactly the most formidable foe in this super regional or in this field, but LSU emphatically beat them in 2 days. And that was a team that won 44 games this year. It was very comfortable playing on the road. So Tigers win. They advance to the College World Series, 20th time in program history. Jay Johnson, his second time in 4 years at LSU and looking for his second national championship. We got a lot to do here over the show. I'll give you my takeaways from the game. We'll run through the game, set up Omaha a little bit, how the bracket's going to look. So we're going to get to all of that. We're thrilled to have you aboard with us here. So please smash that like button if you would, and subscribe to the channel if you're with us here live on Locked On LSU. Okay, let me give you a couple of my big takeaways. Obviously, I think the thing most people coming into this game had asked me was, what do you think Jay's going to do with the lineup after the big change in game 1? I think the feeling we all had was he was going to go back. Game 1, you were facing a lefty. After Pearson in the leadoff spot, he was stacking righties, and it worked. It forced their starter, Griffin Curran, out of the game. But what you saw today, I think, is more like what you're going to see. You had Curiel, Fry, Milam, who's really found it now. Brown, Jones, Dickinson. Reeves got the start at third over Braswell, then Hernandez and Stanfield. A couple of takeaways very quickly. On a day where Ethan Fry went 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts and you still put up a dozen runs, that's a pretty good day. And I think if nothing else, what that speaks to is just how deep this lineup is. I know. Over the last month of the regular season, it was a giant concern. It was a giant talking point that we all had because they did struggle. And if you're an everydayer and you're with us, shout out. I love you. One of the things we talked about a lot was it's one thing to struggle against Liam Doyle or against guys that Ryan Prager from Texas A&M, guys that are legit number 1 aces. When LSU was struggling with midweek freshman arms from Ole Miss, like that's a little more of a red flag. So I understood it, but that's also part and parcel with baseball. I mean, Jared Jones had a 2 for 20 streak. He's clearly busted out of that. He's much more comfortable at the plate. Stephen Milam this year in league plays is hitting 200. Like Stephen Milam say this out loud. Stephen Milam's hitting 200 in conference play this year. He's obviously much better than a 200 hitter, and he's showing it now. But you've been able to overcome that throughout the course of this season. So all that to say, even on a day like this where Ethan Fry was 0 for 5, it just didn't matter because you hit up and down the lineup. and it was Daniel Dickinson was 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. So Fry and Dickinson were combined 0 for 10 with 4 strikeouts, and you still put up a dozen runs on 10 hits, and you left 10 men on base. Curiel was awesome. Led off the game with a double, which was just so impressive. Got you started off on the right foot. He comes home on the fielder's choice that Brown hit, and of course you exploded in the second, which we'll run through the game flow here in a second. Milam for the day, 2 for 4, 4 RBI, 2 doubles, walked twice. So Milam was on base 4 times. Jake Brown, 2 for 4 day, where he had a couple of knocks. Of course, the massive home run to center field. He was also hit by a pitch. So 4 RBI for Milam, 4 RBI for Jake Brown. And then Chris Stanfield with what was the exhale knock in the 7th when they went to Bessinger, who is their best reliever. It was a 6-4 ball game. We're all a little apprehensive. Their pitcher, Meyer, had kind of settled into a groove. And after the pop-up drops, and then he walks the guy on 4 pitches, hits Luis Hernandez when everybody thought they were going to bunt. And you know how I feel about it. Ultimately, you don't give a pitcher who's struggling and out. He plunks him in the back. They go to Bessinger and Stanfield. Boom. One of the things I loved about that Stanfield AB in the 7th, loved about the Stanfield at bat in the 7th. It's 6-4. It feels tense. You still got a 2-run lead, but it feels tense. We all know there's been bullpen issues. You still need 9 more outs. It's a 2-run game. You hadn't scored since the 2nd. And in that situation, Stanfield's up with runners on 2nd and 3rd and less than 2 outs. What you have to do is get the ball either in the air to the outfield or on the ground to the right side. Like, that is your job. That is approach. That is team baseball. That is your job. You're not there to hit a home run. Your job is to get that run home from 3rd. And what did Chris Stanfield do? He shortened up and he slapped the ball on the ground to the right side. The infield was playing in, trying to cut down the run at the plate, and he smoked it right through, or slapped it. She didn't really smoke it, but he slapped it right through the infield. 2 runs scored, and all of a sudden, boom, it's 8-4, and everybody exhales. So I thought it was a huge moment in the game for Chris Stanfield. So all that to say, I think that it was a great team win for LSU in totality here, to go out there on days when Eyanson didn't have his best, when some of your key offensive players weren't at their best in this ballgame as well, and you still find a way to go win 12-5, punch your ticket to Omaha. It just shows how complete this team can be. For all the conversation we've had about the bullpen struggles throughout the course of this season, the other thing we've talked about is shortening up that bullpen. Finding the guys, the handful of guys that you can count on. After Anderson, Eyanson, who are the 4 or 5 guys out of the bullpen that you're going to count on, and LSU seems to have identified those, and Cooper Williams was awesome in this game, who we just have to praise Cooper Williams for the job he did. On a day where Eyanson went 5 innings and struck out 7, 4 runs on 5 hits, walked 3. It just wasn't his best. He really labored through 104 pitches. I even wrote down after the 3rd, Eyanson was at 51 pitches, and it was just, and he came up with a huge strikeout to end the 3rd. It left runners on 2nd and 3rd, by the way, in that situation. It was big to throw up a 0 after your big 5-run 2nd. But man, Eyanson really labored, needed 104 pitches to get through 5 innings, and they went to Cooper Williams, and he gave you 2 2/3, and the only thing he gave up was that mammoth home run in the 7th when it was, in the 8th to make it 12-5. Which was, at that point, it was all over but the shouting. And then, of course, Chase Shores went out there, was dominant, faced 4 hitters, struck out 3 of them. So Tigers win. LSU is off to Omaha. I do want to run through this game. I'll get to your questions as well, so stay with us here. We're rolling along. It's Locked on LSU, your team every day. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. NBA Finals are now tied a game apiece. While we were all watching LSU dismantle West Virginia, the Oklahoma City Thunder was dismantling the Indiana Pacers to even the NBA Finals at one game apiece. If you want to bet on it, you can. You want to bet on the Tigers in Omaha, you can. And the best way to do it is at FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Okay, let me run through a little bit of game flow here for you. 1,400 people watching at 11:52 p.m. on a Sunday night. God bless each and every one of you as LSU is headed back to the College World Series, and I couldn't be more fired up for it. I want to talk about the draw as well, what the bracket's going to look like, because LSU's side of the bracket still isn't complete. We do know LSU is going to play Arkansas, and we don't know what time yet that they'll play. They'll wait for the field to be set. I'll go ahead and throw a guess that LSU and Arkansas is going to be the Saturday night game, just like LSU and Tennessee was when LSU was there in 2023. It's going to be the two biggest brands in the College World Series. It's going to be the night game on Saturday in prime time, but we'll wait until the field is set to know definitively when that's going to happen. So LSU side of the bracket will be finished tomorrow because we still got to wait on winner of Duke and Murray State. So a couple of things about the game. Curiel leading off, back in the leadoff spot, leadoff double. Awesome to get it started that way. And after a walk and a fielder's choice, you're up 1-0. You left 2 on base, which was disappointing, but their starter, and I know we talked about Jack Kartsonis a lot, coming into this, who by ERA was their best pitcher. It was a really good starter for them. Only 2 innings pitched, and my goodness, was he laboring. He was at 27 pitches at the end of the first inning, and then Eyanson went out there, boom, 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 struck out the side. You're up 1-0. You're feeling great. You go out there at the start of the second. You get 2 very quick outs. It's so interesting how that second inning played out. It was so lopsided, but you did all of this damage with 2 outs, and yet again, West Virginia opened the door, and LSU was there to kick it in. It started with Dickinson striking out. I'm sorry. It started with, in the second, it started with top 2. Am I on the wrong? Sorry, I think I'm in the wrong inning. Anyway, it started. So LSU goes ground out, line outs. You get 2 very quick outs there to start the second inning. And then Stanfield walks in the 9-hole. The lineup flips over to Curiel, who walks, and then they walk Fry as well. So now he's walked the bases loaded. Dude is like heavily breathing, laboring. I can't believe in that moment that Steve Sabins let Jack Kartsonis pitch to Stephen Milam. I mean, I get it that it's 1-0 in this situation. It's only the second inning, but man, that dude had walked the bases loaded. It was the end of the line for him. It was over for him. And they let him go throw to Stephen Milam, who ropes a bases clearing double. You're up 4-0. After that, Jake Brown comes up with the RBI single. It's 5-0. They uncork a wild pitch. That's when Jones hits the pop-up that the second baseman dropped the first one. Another run scores. It's 6-0. I mean, it was unraveling on them at that point. Now, I also thought it was significant for LSU in that situation to put up that big 5 spot and then to come back and throw up a 0. And Eyanson struck out the first batter of the second, but then he went walk, wild pitch. Then he went ground out, fly out. And the fly out was a long out, if you remember. That was the one that Stanfield made the leaping catch against the wall to end the inning. I mean, they hit 3 homers, and they hit a couple more to the wall that were kind of yo moments as well. So, man, I know we talked about it all throughout the week. At West Virginia only being a team that hit 55 homers throughout the course of this season. But our conversation here was, listen, when the weather gets warm and the wind's blowing out, both teams are playing in those conditions. And West Virginia spent this season playing largely on the road and in cold weather environments, and they benefited from it. Of course, Cade Anderson's guy who allowed 14 homers this year. And so we talked about that being a real concern. And West Virginia did hit the long ball, and they came short on a few other ones, but LSU just made them pay every time that they opened the door. The other things that I thought were really significant, bottom fifth, after they had pulled within 6-4, this was after they pulled within 6-3, and Eyanson walks the leadoff guy on the throw over to first base. Remember, he throws wild, so now you've got a runner on second base. Then was the ground ball to Milam where he went to third, and they reviewed it, and he was safe. So Eyanson's laboring. He's walked the guy. He's committed an error. Milam could have got him an out going to first. Instead, he went to third, didn't get it. So this is a big spot now. It's first and third. There's nobody out, and their best hitter, who had they got 11 homers on the season, homered yesterday. West was up in that situation, and Eyanson is down 3-0 against him. Comes back to get the K. I thought that was a massive moment in the game. Now, he did give up an RBI single after that, but then got the fielder's choice and then a pop out to get out of it. So Eyanson got out of the fifth there. I thought that strikeout of West in that situation, first and third with nobody out, was massive. You go to Cooper Williams after the hit by pitch to open up the sixth, and we talked plenty about Cooper Williams, and I think, I don't know what else to say. He was absolutely magnificent. Freshman stepped up in a giant role there. 2 2/3 for Cooper Williams, just one run on one hit. He struck out one. He faced 10 batters. The one hit, the one run was the homer that he gave up. And then he walked the last guy he faced. I don't think there's any doubt Cooper Williams wanted to finish it, but he gave you exactly what you needed on a day where Eyanson was laboring. You needed a bridge to get to the end of the game, which many of us thought was going to be Case and Evans, but you didn't need to go to Evans when you're up 12-5. You went to Chase Shores, and it was great to see Shores get out there and shove the way that he did. So Tigers win 12 runs on 10 hits, just the one error. That was Anthony Eyanson's throw over to first base, mostly a clean game defensively for LSU. They did leave 10 on base, but a game where they never trailed. And the Tigers are now headed back to Omaha. So I want to get to some of your questions and comments, so please feel free, drop those questions, comments. I want to get to as many of them as possible here. If we're looking at the CWS bracket, if you haven't taken a peek, so here's where it stands as of right now. So Louisville has advanced to the College World Series. They beat Miami. Oregon State beat Florida State. So Louisville and Oregon State will play. Arizona and Coastal Carolina will play. This is the other half of the bracket from where LSU is. So on the top half of the other bracket, Louisville, Oregon State, and then Coastal against Arizona. Of course, Jay Johnson's former squad in the field. The only way that LSU and Arizona would meet up would be in a championship series. Again, they're on opposite sides of the bracket. UCLA beat UTSA, so they've advanced to the College World Series. UCLA, the number 15 overall seed. And then we know Arkansas has advanced, so LSU is going to play Arkansas. The only ticket that's not punched yet is Duke-Murray State. That's tied at 1 apiece, so that deciding game will be played on Monday. And that's significant because that is on LSU side of the bracket. So whatever happens against Arkansas, LSU will end up playing either UCLA, Duke, or Murray State, whether it's a winner's bracket game or loser's bracket game. Whoever, it'll be one of those three teams, and then obviously whichever advances. So if LSU beats Arkansas, they would play the winner of UCLA, Duke, Murray State. If LSU were to lose to Arkansas, they would play the loser of the UCLA, Duke, Murray State game. So that's kind of the bracket shapes up right now for LSU. And I know we're going to spend a lot of this week talking about playing Arkansas. I love the draw. A lot of people asked throughout this whole thing, who is the one team I didn't want to see? And the answer was Tennessee. And this is no disrespect at all to Arkansas. They're a very good team. They spent a chunk of this season ranked number 1 in the country. But Tennessee, especially in the first round, was going to throw Liam Doyle at you. And Liam Doyle's a lefty that throws 100. And he shut out LSU for, I can go pull up the box score, but wasn't it 6 innings that he was no-hitting LSU in the game in Baton Rouge? If you give me 1 second, I'll pull that up. It was the game LSU. It was the Jared Jones game, the comeback in the bottom of the ninth. But Doyle went 6 2/3 of shutout ball where he allowed one hit. He struck out 6, walked 3. He allowed one hit through 6 2/3. So, I mean, Liam Doyle scared me. Zach Root doesn't scare me. I think Zach Root is a fantastic pitcher. He's Arkansas's number one. And he pitched 6 innings in the game against LSU. He pitched very well. I'll tell you his line score. Give me 1 second. Because you're going to see Root against Anderson again. So in that game, Root went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs on 5 hits, struck out 6, didn't walk anybody. It's very good. Cade Anderson went 5 2/3, allowed 3 runs on 7 hits, struck out 10 Arkansas hitters in that game. And that's the game where LSU won 5-4. That was the 1-7. Interestingly enough, I'm wearing the 1:17 a.m. shirt. Those were the 2 games that LSU won at 1:17 a.m. The first games against Arkansas and against Tennessee. So if you ask me which would be the lesser of 2 evils, it's Zach Root. And I also think while Arkansas at times has been really good offensively this year, I think at times they vanished. And I like Cade Anderson matching up against Arkansas. So that's the answer that I would have given. I was hoping Arkansas, look, it's a pick your poison, but I was hoping Arkansas was going to beat Tennessee because Tennessee has the most talent of any team in the country this year. Meaning, like, when we go watch the draft in July, they're going to have the most guys drafted, the most guys that throw 100, the most projected big leaguers. Like, Tennessee went and bought the best roster. They just didn't play great this year, and now they're going home. But that's the team that I would have looked at and said, man, if you got to play them, if they get hot, that's who I don't want to see. So Tennessee's gone home. You get to play Arkansas. It'll be Anderson against Root. That's a game you've already won. You win that, then you're going to have Eyanson going against UCLA, Duke, or Murray State. I mean, the path for LSU is paved in gold, y'all. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I want to celebrate tonight, LSU advancing to the College World Series, which is an awesome, amazing day, an amazing accomplishment. But, of course, we're all now looking ahead to what is next for LSU. And what is next for LSU, of course, is the date this coming weekend with Arkansas at the College World Series. Okay, let's get to you. It's Locked On LSU, your team every day. All right, let's get to your questions and comments. Appreciate so many of you for being here with us. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody, this late at night. Appreciate y'all so much. Spurs, tough draw playing the Hogs out the gate. We'll be dancing with the devil, we know. That's very true. Just talked a little bit about it. I have long since argued, I think many of you probably agree, I think they should reseed the field once you get to Omaha because they don't field the bracket 1 to 64. If they did field the bracket 1 to 64, that would be different, but they don't. It's regionally based largely. So I do think they should reseed once they get to Omaha, but they don't. Eric said, do we know what time LSU plays yet? We do not yet know, Eric. We still have to wait for the full field to be set, and then TV will make those announcements and that decision. So we will know on Monday what time LSU is playing. But my guess is it's going to be the Saturday night game. Matt, why don't they reseed? I don't get to make the decision. I wish they did. We've talked about it for years. And I wish they did, but it's not going to affect this year at all. So go out there and see how it goes. Tyler, winning these 2 games with 1A and 1B, not being their best on the mound is huge. Bullpen injected a lot of confidence in the team over the weekend. I mean, you didn't have to use Casey Evans. You didn't have to use Zach Cowan. You didn't have to use Jaden Newt. So you go to Omaha very fresh as far as your pitching staff, deep and fresh. You didn't have to use Jacob Myers. So the fact that you got through in just 2 games and didn't have to tax your staff means you're going to Omaha with a rested staff with Anderson, Eyanson queued up for next weekend. They'll be able to pitch on full rest. Okay, so this is Lance saying he doesn't get the argument for reseeding. I just kind of explained that. It's because it's not seeded one. If it were seeded 1-64 at the start, I'm with you, but it's not. That's the problem. Sonny, why are people wondering who's pitching? Cade 100% pitching game 1. Yeah, no doubt. And then they'll also be on their regular rest as well. So like Eyanson pitching Sunday, you're not going to bring him back early to pitch game 1. So you'll have Cade Anderson and Anthony Eyanson on regular rest next weekend. Chuck E. Matt, you definitely have the voice for radio. Thank you, Chuck. I'll take that as a great compliment. I appreciate it very, very much. Edwin Sepulvedo said Braswell or Reeves. So I think it really depends on what you're going for. Reeves is a better offensive player and he's a left-handed bat. Braswell is a better defender. Now, a lot of people are going to ask about the play at third, the Milam play on the fielder's choice. I don't think Braswell makes that play. It was Milam made a quick decision. He threw high. He had to throw low at the base. He threw high, and Reeves caught it, made a quick tag. Like, Braswell doesn't do anything differently than Reeves did there. I don't think that's the point. I think if you're going defense, which this team has leaned pitching and defense, then Braswell is your third baseman. And you understand he's an out in the lineup, but will you sacrifice the out in the lineup for the better glove at third base? And I would say yes. So we'll see what Jay Johnson elects to do. It is worth noting also that, with facing Zach Root, he's a lefty. So, I'm assuming we're going to see with LSU Arkansas, we're going to see Anderson against Root. That's two lefties. So seeing a lefty in Zach Root, you're probably going to see Braswell, the righty, at third base. That would just be my guess, what they do. If you're facing a righty, maybe you have Reeves in there for an extra left-handed bat. Let's see. Y'all, please smash the like button if you would. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. Gregory, will we be home or away? I'm sorry. Can we stop talking about firing? Was anybody talking about firing Jay Johnson? Like, literally, was anybody talking about that? Because if so, you're a lunatic. Will we be home or away against Arkansas? I'm trying to see. Well, the higher seed is the home team, and so I'm trying to remember if Arkansas was the higher seed or if LSU was. My apologies. Sorry. Or was LSU a higher seed than Arkansas? Arkansas was the 3. Okay, so my apologies. Arkansas was the 3. So Arkansas will be the home team. Arkansas was the 3. LSU is the 6. So Arkansas will be the home team in the opener there in Omaha. Okay, let's see if we can get to a few more here from y'all. If you got questions, please drop them in. See if I can get a couple of more. Man, y'all might just be conversing with each other and celebrating, and I don't mind it at all. Tommy Poole, how many strikes did the umpire miss tonight? I thought the umpire was fine tonight. I didn't have any issues with the umpire. I thought this crew the last 2 days were actually pretty good. Even the reviews that went to review, the calls on the field were upheld. I mean, I thought they kind of nailed it. Let's see, Survivor's Remorse. Do you think the decision to move Curiel to 6 was due to his struggle against lefties? Do you think the lineup we saw today is for right-handers? No, I do. I think the decision in game 1 had nothing to do with Curiel against lefties. I think the decision the lineup in game 1 was specifically to stack 5 right-handed hitters in a row against their lefty, Griffin Kern, and to try to put pressure on him and get him out of the game early, and it worked. You got him out of there in the second inning. So now a lot of that was his own undoing, his inability to throw strikes like we talked about. But no, I don't think the lineup we saw in game 1 is something that we're going to see repeated commonly. I think Derek Curiel has been your starter this entire season. He's been your leadoff hitter this entire season. He'll continue to be your leadoff hitter and should be. If you had the question, like, what about Fry? Fry was 0 for 5 tonight with 2 strikeouts. I don't care. Fry's been awesome. He's better in the 2-hole. Jones bumping down has taken some of the pressure off of him. You're seeing him. You've seen Jones bust out here. So I tend to look at it to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So you had a good thing working with this lineup. I love Milam in the 3-hole as well, especially as a switch hitter. So you can alternate left-right if you want to. Curry out from the left side, Fry from the right side, depending on who you're facing. Now, in this case, it'll be Zach Root, who's a lefty, so it would turn Milam around to the right side. But I love that there. If Brown's starting, that's another question, obviously, in game 1. Root's the lefty. That probably means Josh Pearson starts instead of Jake Brown, which... I know what you all think. You know what I think. I watched Jake Brown hit a 417-foot homer to dead center. I'll watch people give an ovation to Josh Pearson. He struck out. Pearson's a great Tiger, man. He was a giant part of that run in Omaha in 2023, and you love those guys because they're a huge part of the program, man. Like, LSU is built on the backs of dudes from this state who ached and wanted to play for LSU, and Josh Pearson's one of them, and I respect the heck out of him. It's awesome. He's also a career 250 hitter. And Brown's a better player. So I want the better player on the field. But they're going to face a lefty. So I think Jay is going to play Josh Pearson against Zach Root on what I assume will be Saturday. Want to make that point. All right. A couple more if we can get them in. Charles said the box was awesome all season, especially tonight. Matt, set up your 4 options at starter if LSU were to get in a situation where they have to win out in the loser's bracket. Okay, I like that, Charles. Good question. So this is what I think they would do. And obviously this is all contingent upon who you throw, right? Who's available. So let's say you go Anderson game 1. And are we assuming you win game 1 or lose game 1? Let's say you lose game 1. Nope. Let's say you win game 1. Right. Let's say Anderson wins game 1. You come back with Eyanson in game 2 and you lose. I don't know how realistic that is, actually, given the draw. All right, let's flip it. I don't really think it matters either way, actually. Let's say Anderson loses, Eyanson comes back, and you win to fight off elimination. Okay, now you have to come back and do effectively what you did in 2023 after you lost to Wake Forest. Let's play that scenario. You win the first game, you lose the winner's bracket game. Now you got to come back and win 3 games to get to the championship series. You got to win an elimination game in game 3. And then you got to win a game 4 and a game 5 to get to the championship series, right? That's what LSU did. They beat Tennessee, they lost to Wake, they eliminated Tennessee, then beat Wake twice, okay? So, let's look at how that would look. So Anderson, Eyanson, I think you would probably go, I don't think there's any doubt you'd go Newt. Actually, no. If your season's on the line, you're throwing your best available arm. And your best available arm is Evans. So you're going Evans. After that, I think you'd probably go Shores and Newt. If they were available. All that, of course, is contingent upon who hasn't thrown yet, right? But if you had the same situation arise that happened in 2023, where you find yourself in the loser's bracket and you got to play 5 games to get to the championship series, Anderson, Eyanson, if you're facing elimination, throw your best arm, that's Evans or Shores. Flip them, invert them, I think that's the way you go. And then Newt would be your last guy available, I think, that you'd love to throw. The wild card in all of that would be Connor Ware. Because he's a guy that has been a starter, Ware and Cowan. It's interesting that I just mentioned those guys and didn't mention Cowan when Cowan was the guy that threw in the regional. But I don't know if they run that experiment out there again, unless if they have to, unless if it's out of total necessity. But it may be one of those things where someone's got to give you long relief. I mean, listen, in 2023, Nate Ackenhausen gave you 6 innings in an elimination game against Tennessee. The next game, the first game against Wake Forest, you threw Javen Coleman, and it didn't go well. And you had to go to Griffin Herring, who gave you 6 innings out of the bullpen, gave you length. So maybe that's a Cowan. Maybe that's a Shores. The best case scenario is go win with Anderson, go win with Eyanson, rest. Someone's got to come back and beat you twice. Throw that combination of Newt, Shores, whoever, pitch yourself into the championship series, and then stack up Anderson, Eyanson, ready to go win you a national championship. That's the best way to do it. But I love it. Lenore, Matt, how many MLB players do you think this team has who will have the most success at the next level? I mean, just the pitchers. Anderson's a big leaguer. Eyanson's a big leaguer. Shores is a big leaguer. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all that all the guys that throw 100, Myers, Williams, Rizzi, those are all Evans. Those are all guys, William Schmidt. I mean, all those guys have big league talent. Will they all get there? Maybe not, but they've all got the talent to be there. Carrillo, he's a 4-tool guy. The only thing he's got to develop is the power, and that's always the last thing to come, but he's a big leaguer if you've ever seen one. I don't know that I think Milam has the size to get there. I don't believe Dickinson has the feet and agility to get there. Brown could certainly be a big leaguer. We've talked about him a lot, but he is. He's a 5-tool guy. He's the fastest guy on the team. He's got a cannon for arm. He was a pitcher. He hits for average, and you saw him hit a 417-foot homer to dead center. He's a 5-tool guy. He should be a big leaguer. So those are the guys I tell you, at least of the ones that we know right now. So that's another conversation though for a different day. Okay. Let's get out of here, y'all. Noah, Rick, I'm just shouting out everybody, man. Appreciate y'all for being there. Trip, what's good, man? Shout out Trip. Trip intern with us last summer. What bullpen arm does he have the most likely chance to break out in Omaha? I don't know about breakout, man. If someone's going to break out, it's probably because you're out of the losers bracket and you need someone to give you length you're not counting on. But I think the key to winning when you get to the postseason is you got to identify those 7 or 8 arms that can be consistent for you. And LSU's clearly done that. Anderson, Eyanson, Evans, Cowan, Shores, Newt. Now you could say Williams, Rizzi. I mean, there's guys you like that you feel like you can give the ball to, then go get you outs. So, good to see Coach Johnson pop in here with all the. I know this is not Jay Johnson, by the way, but I figured you would. Lefty-lefty matchup. I know that's what you're going to do. Personally, I'd start the guy that hit the 417-foot homer to dead center today, but you do you. All right, man. Well, all right, why not? Matt, how many Jello shots do you think this year at Rocco's? I saw 78K. I guess it all depends on if Gordon shows up again. Shane, Matthew, wash that shirt. Yeah, I think I actually have 3 of them, believe it or not. So I ordered one. Michelle Southern ordered me one. And then I had another one that came in by mistake. So I actually have 3 of them. So yes, I do. All right, let's get out of here, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out all year, y'all. We've done this every single game. We've done these live post-game shows. And there's 1,300 people watching with us now after midnight on a Sunday. And I'm just very grateful. We started this back in February against Purdue Fort Wayne, and we've done. I think the only game we missed was the Texas A&M game when I was at Jazz Fest to watch Pearl Jam. So, we've been consistent here. It's because you all have been here with us, and I'm fired up to do more of these in Omaha when I know it feels like our birthright as LSU fans to be in Omaha, but damn it, it is. So let's go win another natty. Father J.D. Mathern said, pool jump if we get the natty. Done. I tell you what I'll do. If LSU's back in the championship series, I'll do the post-game show back on the patio, smoking a cigar, drinking some whiskey, and I will absolutely pool jump. If they do. All right. Thanks for being with us, y'all. Please smash the like button if you would subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on podcasts, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. And remember, we are live as soon as the games go final on the Locked On LSU YouTube channel. So find us over there as well. To all of you who are with us live. Go Tigers! LSU headed back to Omaha for the 20th time in program history. The Tigers, about a week and a half away. Actually, would be 2 weeks away from knowing if Tigers will be adding another number to the Intimidator. Here's hoping they are. All right, it's Locked On LSU, your team every day.